Oh boy, oh boy. Hello, hello, hello. Wow, I just got back from the masseuse. I felt amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let me kick this thing off. What was the title of the show? I kind of, I like to leave little mysteries for you guys to kind of figure it out for yourselves. But this right here is very important. when you're talking about like if we were to create a if we had like a bunch of raw material and if we were to make a man, this would probably be like half of it. This along with the first thing would probably make up like 80% of what a man is. This is very important. First hint, shout out and RIP to Mr. Otis Redding. Don't know yet? Well, shout out and RIP to Miss Aretha Franklin. Well, what do these two have in common? A song. RESPECT. Respect. Respect is absolutely critical for the survival of a man. Let's get to it. All right, so they definitely made the song. You can go listen to the song for yourself if you'd like to. It's a very, very good. It's an all-time classic for sure. But respect. What does respect garner for men? Why is this so important for men? Well, respect is what keeps everyone in order, in line. And if you're familiar with Jordan Peterson, he relates women and men as chaos and order, respectively. So women are the chaos of the spectrum, and the men are the order, which is why for order you need laws. And that's why today's society is the way it is today. We have laws for everything, laws to keep everyone in check, laws to keep everyone in order. We're able to progress throughout life. We live in a society of specialists. And if you don't know what that means, it means you don't have to be a jack of all trades. It's preferred that you specialize in something to earn your keep in today's society. Now, you could be a jack of all trades. You could build your own house. You could farm and do all these other things, but mind you, like, all the time that's required of you to do all this stuff, you won't be as successful as someone who specializes in something and then they hire other specialists, right? Now, there's two different spectrums that at this moment, I might have to do a rewind on this because I might come back to better break things down for when it comes to respect. And one of the things when it comes to respect is there's the inherent respect, meaning this respect you just get straight off the bat. Like just walking up to someone, they give you inherent respect. And then there is the respect that is earned, earned respect. So this is the respect that's based off of what you've done, your accolades, and what you're capable of doing. Now, I don't think I have to explain which one is greater. The earned respect earns more brownie points. So if I were to make an example, I could if I were to be keeping tally, inherent respect, something is like that's inherent respect, you might get 1 point. Yeah, you might get 1 point. Sorry, but when it comes to earned respect, everything of inherent respect you get 1 point. Everything of earned respect you get, say, 3 points. Now this is just an example. So to some people, it is a bit um subjective. Different people value respect differently. I might be solid and respect your abilities purely. Another person might skewer it a little bit, be like, "Ah, that's not worth as much," and then somebody will just blur it all, blah, 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 blah. They just don't care. But in general, earned respect is is objective because your ability to do things to get the stuff done, you can literally say, "This is what I've done." Inherent respect is more so based off of stuff that's usually out of your control, you know, and it's usually based off of fear. As a man, I inherently respect another man because I know he's capable of doing damage. Same thing goes for a woman, where I'm afraid of a man physically harming me. With a woman, it's actually different. We're not so much afraid of her physically harming us, which it is still possible, but not to the extent of a man. But really, with women, their power is the tongue. So in society, with the woman, what it is we're afraid of her ability to use her tongue to cry out for help, lie on us, and then get other men to physically harm us for her. That's how that works. But the inherent respect is just straight off that's you usually respect someone's ability to harm you. Usually, someone's bigger and stronger. You're going to respect them because you know they're capable of doing more damage, etc., etc. That's the inherent respect. But someone's earned respect, I'm going to respect, even when it comes to the fear, when you're respecting someone based off of their ability to do damage, when you're respecting them based off of fear, right? Even the earned respect portion of it is greater because I'm going to respect, say, a prime Mike Tyson versus just some regular 6'5" dude. Mike Tyson, he ain't over 6 foot, but I absolutely know he can destroy me because he's trained, he's got the accolades, he's got the background. His earned respect is far greater than just some 6'5" dude whom that 6'5" dude could be muscle bound and everything, but I'm still going to respect Mike Tyson in his prime much more inherently than I would the 6'5" muscle dude. He could be built like Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I'm still going to respect Mike Tyson because he's earned his respect. He's shown what he's capable of doing. He's knocked out other 6 foot plus dudes, that are specialists in their fields. See, that's the earned respect portion. That's the earned respect portion. Now, the reason why it's critical for men's survival, and I did link some videos in the description if you want to go check them out. Of course, when it comes to just looking for things that are absolute, the truth, one of the things I find mostly is uh the content on the business, Mr. Jason Black himself. And he did talk about respect. He had a video that I remember, uh imposing your will, which I did link in the did I link that? I might Let me go check something real quick. I do believe I linked it in the description. If I didn't, I might have to go back and do that. But yes, imposing it. He has a video titled "Imposing Your Will," which is very good explaining stuff. Now on my end, I'm going to, because the truth is the truth. I agree with everything he said thus far. I can't disagree because when the truth is absolute, it's absolute. So I'm going to agree with whomever has the best information. You know, I mean, I've already known this because I do have a story to tell about someone whom is very dear to me in my life, whom I've known for the past 1.5 decades. He's no longer here. He passed away, about 4 years ago. But I do have a story to tell about him because he taught me a lot about the stuff that I'm talking about now. He taught me a lot of stuff when it comes to manhood, respect, and the things that follow respect, because there's also two other sub components that follow the respect as well. But they all tie into respect. So, respect, if you guys remember, the first component that I looked up, the first part, the first main key trait is the ability to get stuff done, the ability to solve problems. That was the first, um, yeah, that was like the very first Trial of Men series broadcast I did. It was the ability to get stuff done. That's inherent in most men. We've evolved that way to solve problems. Solving problems was the thing. Like we've evolved to solve problems. Now, respect is our efficiency or ability to solve those problems. Because if we're able to solve problems better than others, others will respect us more. It's just natural. You can if you're able to. Now, of course, I respect everyone. Basically, inherently, I respect people, yes. But there's levels to this. Inherent respect is pretty much at the bottom, and it just varies from person to person, to be honest. But it's at the bottom. Earned respect is far greater. Now, I might not touch on disrespect, however, because one of the things I do say is like even amongst strangers, you might not have to respect someone because of their earned potential because you don't know what they're capable of. So you might not have to respect someone, but one thing you most likely would not like to do to someone that you don't know or you don't know what they're capable of or what you're not aware of them or they're a nobody to you is you don't disrespect. So that's another thing because one of the things I will say, like especially when the dynamic between black men and women, okay, you don't have to respect me. If I'm just some regular guy on the street, yeah, you don't have to respect me, because you don't know me. But one thing you will not do is you will not disrespect me, and that's really one of the main things I believe happens, specifically in the relationship dynamics in the black community, where the women absolutely do disrespect the men, almost inherently, actually. That's what makes it so bad because yes, as men you have to produce, and black men have been underperformers, but I mean it's I mean it's kind of a given when you've literally had no help whatsoever from the government. And in fact, the government has actually contributed to your lack of ability to produce, despite you. Yeah. So there's a lot there's a reason for that. But the thing is, okay, even today, like Hispanic men actually are perform less than black men, but they get more respect or at least less disrespect from their women, right? Well, when it comes from a man or a woman, as a man, you're supposed to, how can I say it? Command or demand respect, which you can use those not interchangeably, but I believe like when I do something like when I'm at a job, I do my job exceptionally well, better than all the others. So I get a level of earned respect because of my ability to perform my job, and it comes with benefits. Right? Even now, I'm about to transition to a new position, and they literally had to hire like three people just to replace me. Now had they, tripled my income, I might have considered staying for maybe another a couple more months. I ain't gonna lie, I'm bound to move on, but I would have considered staying for maybe another year or so in that position. But I'm just saying, I got to do what I got to do. But I absolutely demolished the competition, and I earned a certain amount of respect. But at the same time, I make it known, like, hey, I got a big stick to swing. I'm capable of getting things done. And yes, I can take my job performance to another job if I need to. You see what I'm saying? So I absolutely demand respect through my actions and what I'm capable of because my work ethic and everything. Now, why this is critical for a man's survival, if a man doesn't respect you, he'll do anything to you. He'll screw you over, he'll take your stuff, beat you, whatever, whatever. If you want to look back on the civil rights movement and all that stuff, you had one group of men that didn't respect the other group of men, and look how they treated them. They discarded them. They did whatever they wanted to pretty much do with, you know, it is what it was, which is why the civil rights movement had to happen to at least get that basic level of respect. Because it was unfavorable. But you can't have a society of men survive if they aren't given that respect. It's necessary to develop as a man and to just live in today's society. Because otherwise, you have absolutely no leverage at all. You have no leverage. You have no power. You have no power. Good luck. You're most likely probably going to end up on the streets. Unfortunately. Now, we've evolved as a society. As I said before, we live in a society of specialists, where each of us, we don't have to do everything. We can specialize in something, which has helped society accelerate. Some might think actually technologically too fast. There is the potential that we've actually accelerated too fast technologically because we haven't been able to evolve like we have in the past to new things. One good example is red light, blue light. Like right now, I got some glasses on, some blue light filter glasses because I'm sitting in front of a screen at night, and blue light is not good for your eyes, especially at night because it messes up your circadian rhythm when you sleep. Now, although my rhythm is all messed up, the blue light still messes with my eyes. It actually gives me a bit of a headache, makes me dizzy or whatever because it is dangerous. You don't want to sit in front of a screen for long periods of time. However, we have evolved to where red light doesn't affect us. So, of course, because we've evolved with fire. So, our ancestors would sleep around the fire and they've evolved to where the fire, the spectrums of the fire, the red light or whatever, our eyes naturally block it out. But our eyes don't naturally block out the light from like computer screens and stuff that put out the blue light because this is relatively new technology and it's growing so fast we don't have time to keep up with it. I'm actually reading a book where they went over this. The Guide to Evolution, and I gotta look up the title, but I might link it in the description. I'm definitely going to talk about it for sure, that book. But it relates to evolution in the 21st century and us as humans. So we've evolved into society, and it's absolutely necessary to have respect to function in society as a man because it doesn't matter if you're able to get stuff if you can't protect it. And one way to protect your stuff is to let guys around you, because mind you, the biggest threat would be most likely the guys, because guys can physically come and take your shit. So one good way of keeping them at bay is the respect factor. Okay, so now since we're all specialists, we all have to earn money. Our abilities to do things and solve problems to earn money in today's society. Now I'm less likely to say steal from some rich guy because he can pay for lawyers and he might have leverage or something like that. He has more power, leverage to now when he calls the authorities, he might go to regular functions and they favor him over me, and now I'm not in a favorable position, you know. Same thing could happen vice versa. If he tries to pick on me, actually, it might actually still work in his favor because he has more power and influence. I might try to go to the authorities and they'd be like, "Nah, why would he want to steal from a broke dude?" You see? So even in that case, even when he's in the wrong, he still garners more respect and he's better protected than I am. And I'm pretty sure we've all had stories like this. We've heard of them at least, if you haven't experienced them. But yes, that respect is absolutely necessary to protect yourself, as well as when you're respected on the job, you can earn more money because now someone comes to me, and this is going to tie into the story later. Now someone comes to me, they know what I'm capable of. They want me to get the job done. I can raise my prices higher than the competition because they know I'm good at what I do. I have leverage, and I know somebody else will hire me for that price. So now they're like, okay, I got you. So it works in your benefit as well. Each man respects one another without knowing one another. Now, this was the inherent respect where I talked about, the potential dangers amongst men. You don't just go to a bar and start talking smack to a bunch of random dudes because one of those dudes is gonna absolutely chip your tooth or break your nose or whatever, whatever. Respect can also be for one's character as well as their abilities. So going back to the job thing, I was talking about how based off of abilities. Now, the solving now don't get this mixed up. The solving problems thing and being able to provide or produce, that absolutely is that it can be or is usually fueled by the character part. So it's not just the character part. It's kind of like the part of the character amplifies the ability to produce or solve the problems, right? For example, I could have a contractor, one contractor, both of them are just as good. Both of them are just as good. One contractor, he's an absolute drunk. He's belligerent. He's a butthole. I might even be able to squeeze off an extra 5%, discount just because he kind of knows he's a bit of a dick, right? So I might be able to squeeze off a 5% discount. But as you all know, the chances are I'm still going to hire the guy with better character, even though both of them might be just as capable of doing a job. Because one thing is, if I'm working with someone who doesn't have the character of the successful person, one, there is the risk because usually the character combined with the abilities creates the production, meaning it is the character that led them to being able to produce what they're able to produce and solve the problems as efficiently. Keyword efficiently meaning consistently as well. So they're consistent and efficient at their job. Whereas the guy without character, he's belligerent, he's drunk, all this other stuff. He might blow a job one day just randomly. Like even though he's good at his job, he might get a little too drunk one day, and then an accident happens, and now I gotta deal with insurance and stuff. You see, so there is some risk to the character part, even if he's able to solve the problems. But the guy with the character, I'm gonna respect him even more because I can hire this guy, the belligerent drunk. He's gonna do the job, but I'm not gonna respect him nowhere near as much as I'm gonna respect the guy who can get the job done and he has respectable, genuine, good character. So yes, you can be respected on character, but the character usually comes with the production, the ability to solve problems, or producing, as Jason Black says. Yes, they typically come together because a guy can't just have character and get respect. You got to be able to do something. You have to have some type of leverage, some type of power to garner the respect. It compounds. It doesn't earn the respect as intangibles. Objective. Remember, respect is best when it's objective. You can see the outcomes. I see, the wealth accumulate around you, the assets. Sometimes the asset is learning. They might put their money into education and stuff, or learning how to talk multiple languages, or learning how to fight and stuff like that. You can put your money into different things. Money's just a tool. So there absolutely has to be the production that comes along with the character. It cannot just be character. Okay? So let's get that through. Like all you guys like, I'm a good dude, yada yada. You can be a good dude and all that stuff, but do you have the leverage? Do you have the intangibles? You know? Because otherwise it's subjective. One person might like your character, the other person might not like your character. I mean, I think I can agree most people don't like belligerent drunks, but there might be a person out there where they might like that actually. But So you have to have the production that comes along with the character. Now, a good example of the earned and inherent respect is actually the dynamic between men and women, where you have women, they have higher value straight off the bat. They don't have to do anything, they don't have to accomplish anything because they are women. Early in their years, they get way more respect than the men because of their inherent value. Men, on the other hand, we already know you're valued off of your ability to solve problems, your ability to produce and provide. Uh, Forget the little baby noises. Now, a good example of this would be, let's say, the dynamic between men and women. And a simple dynamic is sex. Everybody knows about sex. And one of the things between men and women is if you were to put a pin at the act of sex, the man has to put in more effort to get before sex. He has to put in more effort to get the sex than the woman does. But the woman has to put in more effort after sex. You follow me? Now, this is whether or not, now, usually sex leads to childbirth. That is the thing with sex, but we do have sex outside of procreation. We do have sex for fun. But especially when it comes to childbirth, shout out to all you baby mamas out there. Especially when it comes out to childbirth, the man has to put in more effort before having sex. The woman has to put in more effort after having sex. Because once he's shown the ability to get the sex, he's supposed to have been a guy that is, how can I say it, of status. He's supposed to be a guy who has, and intangibles, assets, a guy of value, a guy, a wad man, a guy that's worth a damn. Pretty much, that's what I say. He's supposed to be a guy that's showing an ability to produce and provide, to get sex. So that means he done put his cards in. He done punched that clock and everything. He done put in the work to get it. And then once he gets it, now it's on her whether or not she stays around after. Because he's already shown his ability to get it. Now, moving on, I got I got two more subparts to touch on respect because respect, amongst peers, amongst one another, but there's also two other components because respect it's a bit of an umbrella term because it garners a lot of other stuff, and one of them being honor. Okay, so when it comes to honor, this still ties into respect. But when it comes to honor, the thing with honor is it's respect for the laws and the code or whatever. There's usually an honor code amongst men. You know, I talked about how we evolved as to function within a society. That's how we've evolved. And one thing men do is we set rules, we create order. But the thing is, you can't just set those rules and create order. You have to respect those orders. You have to honor the code. And then this brings on the part about additional part of respect. It also ties into power because, mind you, respect very much is damn near synonymous with power, or because it's synonymous with the creation of power for a man. So when it comes to respect, there is a thing. I can't think of who said. I know Jason Black mentioned it in one of his videos. But there is a thing where if you were to disrespect someone or the honor code, the code of honor, the laws or whatever that's created, you have to be able to punish as well as reward, right? So tied into respect is your ability. It is your ability to. The saying goes, Actually, it was also saying a quote by Eisenhower as well, president, and many other actually said this. But you have to show the ability to reward your friends and punish your enemies. That does tie into power because you have to have the power and everything. But people will treat you differently if you don't show the ability to punish your enemies or reward your friends. Because if I'm looking at you from the outside in, I'm looking to, I might want to do business with you. I might want to work with you. Well, people judge you based upon your circle. What have you done to contribute to the people around you? If you haven't benefited them, you up here walking around in the best, finest linen, everyone else around you is walking around in poo. I'm not going to want to really deal with you because I know even if I do work with you, I'm not going to reap any real benefits because you've shown that you don't benefit those around you. Additionally, if I'm aware, let's even say that you do benefit those around you. If I know that you benefit those around you, but I know those around you regularly screw you over, they take money, they put their hands into the cookie jar one too many times, and you don't punish them, I'm gonna lose respect for you on that end too, because now we're at risk. Because now, I know if I were to say invest something with you, you're a danger to my money, my assets. You could potentially, it could be like a Bernie Madoff situation where I entrust you with my assets, and then somebody comes in and steals from you because they don't respect you. You don't punish you don't punish that behavior. They don't necessarily have to be your enemies. It's just you have to punish bad behavior. That's why we have the laws, and when I was talking about honor, you're supposed to honor the code, the laws that are created for a reason to create order. And when you don't honor them, you get punished. That's just how it is. So that is another thing. So let's keep that in line. You know, the link between power and respect, and the link between respect and power to your ability to reward your friends and punish your enemies. That is very important as well. They all tie together. Now, one of the other things that ties into this is legacy. So you got respect, then within respect, you have honor and legacy. So, legacy, you know, think of it like your collection of accolades and achievements, and also your future achievements and accolades, usually in, well, if not just investments, but also your offspring, my children, your children. They are your legacy because you will grow them to be better than you. Not just you. You should want your kids to be better than you. You know, and that is supposed to be a part of your legacy. People do tie legacy in with family for that reason. But at the same time, unfortunately, like a lot of people, you can have family, but you can have absolutely no intangibles, no nothing. A lot of people today, don't have the benefit of having anything passed down to them from their, predecessor, their parents, their ancestors. They don't inherit nothing. That's not much of a legacy. So now they're pretty much, they can't honor and respect the legacy properly of their parents. They probably will, depending on the situation with their parents, because they were their parents, but outsiders will not. And why I say that is because, you know, it was their parent but I can't respect their legacy because they left them nothing. They didn't produce anything. They didn't build anything worthwhile and pass it on to their child. Their child is pretty much starting from scratch. There's not much of a legacy there. Yes, they can teach that kid everything that they learn, but I mean, if they weren't able to do anything with the stuff, they might have taught them their failures. I mean, they learn from their failures. Okay, cool. And then hopefully their kid will then be able to go on and build something. But, it's unfavorable when your kids aren't able to inherit anything. Now, your kids could go on and do better than the parents, which, like I said, that's what you want. And then they build a legacy for themselves. And then maybe if that child actually did learn from the failures of their parents, okay, cool. And it's up to them whether or not they tie into the legacy of their fathers. Because respect isn't too much. Yes, like I said, we respect women inherently, but respect among men is absolutely mandatory. Absolutely. Order, respect, honor, when it comes to men, it is at its peak. That's just how we've evolved, and for good reason, as I've described earlier. Now, now I'm going to get into a part where it's a bit of a story time. But to tie up legacy is pretty much the respect of the accolades, achievements, and what someone has built. You're pretty much, hindsight. It's like the hindsight 2020 of someone's life and achievements, pretty much. The summation of everything they've built, pretty much, and the respect for it. Because men do value legacy because we get respect through our legacy. All right, so now let me get into my story. Okay, so I talked about the first part being the abilities to solve problems, and then the second part being respect. Both of them tie into this man, and his name's Kevin. And he was a father. He's a father figure in my life as I grew up. After my mom divorced my stepdad, and she happened across him not too long after, maybe like 3, 4 years. I know I was still in middle school going to high school, so I known him you know through my adolescence, throughout college, and he did pass away about 4 years ago, uh, due to cancer. And even the way he did that was still respectable, because you know I respect, like, it's on a different level, because it's like, and I sat down and talked to him about it, but to sit down with a guy and he's planning his funeral and everything because he knows the end is imminent, and and I had so much respect for him even while he was alive, but even now I might have even more respect for him because now I'm looking back and I'm like, damn, I don't even know if I could do that, because he handled it with such, he was solid. Let me just say it like that. He was solid. He did what he had to do. He didn't he didn't become a burden to any of us or anything. He always strived to do what he could do, even though he was suffering with cancer. And, you know, he was still thinking about, improving other people's lives. That's really, even when he was planning his own funeral, he was still thinking about other people, you know. He was enjoying the time he had left. He wasn't, fawning over his failures or anything like that. He was enjoying life best he could. But the reason why I bring him up is because the first two things I talked about, solving problems, the ability to solve problems, and respect, both of them are synonymous with his name. Now, he came from up north. Shout out to the folks from New York. I don't know too much about his backstory. He was an older man. He was an OJ. He did say, he told me about the original gangs and how him and his friends were part of a gang, but they were originally created to protect one another, not to do all the buffoonery we see nowadays. They protected the block and protected one another. That's what he told me about. So he was an OG, and he did have to do some time actually when I was in I think when I was graduating and through the first few years of college, some of his past caught up to him, and he had to do some time. Then he got out, and if you guys aren't aware, it's hard, to find employment, but he did it. He found a way. He got a job. He did what he had to do. He worked in some refinery somewhere with chemicals and crap, which may or may not have contributed to him getting his cancer, but whatever. So he also links up with a promoter, you know. Shout out to P. So Kevin and P, they link up, and mind you, Kevin, he's one of those guys where he is like just talking to him, you knew he was a real genuine dude, and that's pretty much virtually every dude. And mind you, I'm about to run down a list because there's a list of people that I can tell you that you might know. But he worked with the promoter. He did his job so exceptionally well. He replaced the people that were there, and it was him, the promoter, and of course he brought my mother along, so he was able to, you know, bring the benefits to my mother as well as my siblings and myself, because he did put me onto part of the transportation game as I was driving around some of these people. And when I say some of these people, I mean when he was working with the proners, they were doing shows around the country. Some of the people were like Lakeside, Frankie Beverly and Mays, Bootsy Collins, him and his lovely wife. I actually drove them around. Angela Wimbush, drove them around. Kid and Play, drove them around. Genuine, Cisco, New Edition. Back before they got on BET. Oh, actually, it was funny because when New Edition got on that BET special thing a couple years ago, we had just did a show with them, and then Morris Day and the Time, him and his wife, absolutely awesome, lovely couple, and Jeffrey Osborne, amazing performer. I will say that. You know, yeah, drove him around too, but there's many more, but people in the industry know who he is by first name basis. And one of the things, because shout out to P, the promoter. But if you don't know, sometimes you got to be a bit of a jerk when you're working with people. And he might have been a little bit too much of a jerk, but he had a big stick. He had leverage. You know, now they do have an honor code of their own, but when you got a big stick, sometimes you got to swing it, and some people might not like it. So some of the people didn't like the way he did business all the time, but Kevin was the guy that got these guys to show up. He he was literally one of the reasons why people would show up because they know if they just did a show with P, that there might be a little bit of there might be some buffoonery going on, but they knew when Kevin was there, they knew okay, yeah, he don't play, he gets shit done, he gets the job done, and they respected him for it. And I heard this straight out their mouths. They would tell me like, hey, the Kevin's a real dude. He's cool, he's a good dude. Like every time we do show, because they did multiple shows, so he's like every time we do a show, he gets the job done. He was one of the best dudes doing what it could. He helped put on the show. He literally like was telling people because the promoter, he was the money guy. Yes, he would want things done a certain way, but Kev was pretty much like the producer. He was the guy that was like, okay, yeah, this is what we need to do. I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna get it done. He was pretty much the producer, and he got the job done. And mind you, he was every bit of like 5'5", 5 foot. He wasn't big. He was not big, and he was not. I can't even say he was the most handsome guy at all, but he absolutely he commanded respect because of his ability to do what he did, and because of the way he treated people. And he did sit me down. I want to say, but this is before we found out about the cancer and stuff. Uh, but because he did go through a first round of chemo, and then things came back, and he was like, yeah, he didn't want to do it a second time, and that's when he had to kind of that's when he made the plans and everything that I was talking about earlier. But he sat me down one day, and this is just a heart to heart, just a man talk. And like I read down the list, and like I said, there's many, many more performers that I'm not mentioning, many more. But he was like, you want to know how and this is him talking to me. He said, you want to know why all these people, you know, they respect me, they know me on a first name basis, because he was a nobody. He pretty much thought, well, he did DJ and everything up north and everything. He did his thing and hustle and whatnot, right? But people didn't really know him for that or anything. They knew him because of his ability to get things done at the time. And he was like, you want to know? And he was knowledgeable too when it came to music, right? So, and he was like, you want to know why these people, they respect me the way they do. They know my name and everything, a first name basis with these guys and everything like that. And they know like when I'm there that they ain't got to worry about nothing, you know. And like and he was telling me like, I'm literally one of the reasons why they continue to work with P. Because like I said, he P liked to swing his stick. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. But sometimes there was I ain't gonna lie, there might have been some buffoonery here and there. But he was like, yeah, like some of these guys, if he wasn't there, they wouldn't come, they wouldn't come do the shows and stuff, right? And he was like, well, and here's the funny thing. He didn't even talk about, his ability. Well, he did. He actually did a little bit. But he's like, I show up, I do my job, I do what I got to do when I'm there. I make sure that everybody's taken care of, and he put an emphasis on and I treat people with respect. He put an emphasis on that. An emphasis of he said, I treat people the way I would want to be treated, and then maybe better. Because he absolutely respected these guys that he was working with and everything. And he did his job to the best of his ability, which, was he was the man at it, you know. Hard to replace. Probably damn near impossible to replace, to be honest. But he did his job exceptionally well, and he had the character to go along with it. He respected everybody that he came into contact with. Now, he wasn't afraid to punish, though. Remind you that. Like I said, he rewarded his friends, but he also punished his enemies. He let you know, hey, you doing a no-no now. But yes, he is one of those guys. And he was a father figure early in my life. You know, as I grew up, after my stepdad was out of the house, my real dad. I haven't really told my story, but my real dad, I would visit him. So I was actually living like two different lives. One life where I'm sharing a room with my two brothers, and another life I have my own game system, my own room, and all that, a two-story house and everything. So like I was literally living two different lives. But he came in and he set things straight, even in the house. Because mind you, after my stepdad was booted out the house, which he was by my mother. You know, she brought the sheriff in and everything to make sure he left. She brought the law in the house. There was a bit of chaos, and I knew how dangerous it was because I could see it in, because I grew up, relatively, I wouldn't say in the hood because I wasn't really in the hood like that, but I was definitely in the hood. My house was on the street in the hood, but it was just so happens it was on the street where, people were a little bit better off than others. But you'd hear the pop pop sounds every now and then around the block. There'd be a shootout, every other weekend around the block, you know. So, that stuff happened. It's cleaned up now. They done gentrified everything. My mom's house done did a crypto 10x in value, now. But when he brought came to the house, I'm talking about all my siblings instantly. Like he brought a level of masculinity to the house, and like I said, he was every bit of like 5'6", 5 foot. He was not a tall man. He was not a muscular man. He was not. He wasn't even that attractive. Like, and when I say like. But it's subjective. But it's like he wasn't exceptionally great in all that stuff. But the thing he was great with was his character and his willingness to solve problems. When something broke at the house, he would fix it. When somebody had a problem, he'd sit them down and talk to them. That kind of thing. Like he was the liaison, the problem solver of the house. He brought a level of masculinity to the household that was very much needed. And what in the hell is this? Well, he was very much needed. And we could tell when he wasn't there because when he wasn't there, things were a bit out of order. And when he actually did go to, when the law did come and get him for that, you know, I think it was like, how long was it? Like 3, 4 years, I think. Never really knew what it was for. Didn't need to know. But it was some little crap. It might have been like some tax crap or something. But it wasn't relevant. At least not relevant enough for us to know. And the house fell right back into chaos after he left. Right back into chaos. And he was that stake that kept the tent from blowing away in the wind. And then once he was gone, it was a free fall. Like it was absolute chaos again. And his loss actually it definitely impacted everybody. Things are not the same. Things are not the same in the household. But I thought I'd share that with you guys. But let me know what you think about us kind of doing this build a man. We're like imagine a mixing pot and we're just putting ingredients into it. Ability to solve problems, put that in there. Respect, got to put that in there. All this stuff. But let me know what you guys think when you watch this. Post in the comment section if you like. I think I did put the link in the description, but I might just go ahead and end it right here. And I'm going to actually I'm gonna dedicate this one to Kev because yeah, when it comes to like a man, he is one of the things that made me know like you didn't have to be big, macho, muscle bound, This not that's why I like the concept of masculinity today. There's levels to it. There's levels to it, and there's understanding of what it really is. Some people are more attuned than others. I can look at a dude and I can tell, okay, yeah, that's a real dude right there. He about his business. Don't mess with him. You know, every bit of 5'5". But he was about his business. He he demanded respect. You had to respect him. There was no disrespecting whatsoever. Respect is a must for a man. Now, I'm going to end it there. But I would like you guys to know that I will be doing a rewind. I might come back to this topic a little later just to kind of, show some infographics and stuff. That's what the rewind is for. It's for me to rewind, go back to prior shows and episodes, and then, do a double take on the topics or whatever. So I might have to do that because I didn't have any graphics, just because I did just want to talk. I just wanted to, talk about, you know, what I personally have dealt with or know about respect in general, and then also what I've learned about respect, through research and stuff, through other creators and stuff, books, etc., books and videos, you know. But I I know you had to have gotten something out of this. Understanding, maybe it makes you think differently about something. Like maybe you look at stuff differently now. Which, if your life wasn't, turning out too good, if you're a young man watching this and you were misled, single parent household, etc., etc., I'd have been there, done that. Let this be the voice of reason. You know, I can just let you know you're not alone. Trust me, I was that young little 15, 16-year old looking around like, yeah, this don't look good. Something ain't right here. Am I the only one that thinks this ain't right? Am I the only one that don't want to go blow some trees and do dumb crap? Am I the only one that don't want to be running around chasing girls? Like, am I the only one that has a natural knack or desire to actually want to build stuff? Like, am I the only one here? Because something ain't right here. Something isn't right here. I became aware of my own ignorance. Thankfully, fairly young. Some people aren't that fortunate. Some people then become aware of their own ignorance until they're, you know, late 40s and sometimes 50s. But let this be the voice of reason to kind of wake you up, and then not necessarily, I'm not a guru. I'm not gonna, I can only tell you what I know, and then I can think about stuff because that's what my channel is. It's about deep thought and stuff, especially this very show itself, The Dive. I dive into topics and I show you what I think about them. So no, I am not a guru. I'm not that kind of thing. There are people that are much more how can I say it, qualified for certain things when it comes to business and stuff. You can check out Anton Daniels, you can check out Shannon Rawls, you can check out, Jason Black, those folks that know how to, that been there, done that kind of thing. Because I'm still under 30. But I don't mind talking. I love conversations. But let this just be the voice of reason to kind of break you out of the shell and then make you aware of your own ignorance, and then you have to do the work to get in the right places. Ask questions. to the right people to find the right answers. We live in the age of technology, Google, YouTube. You can look up some stuff. Don't just look up the first thing you find. Usually what I do is I'll look up like five or six, seven different sources, and then once they all kind of start saying the same thing, then I'm like, okay, now, and then of course it usually makes sense. But once they all start to align and say the same thing, then that's when you kind of know, okay, yeah, that it must be true. It must be right. And then you go ask, the people in the field or whatever, the specialists in the field or whatever that you're looking up, and then they confirm. They give you further confirmation. So don't be looking up this crap where they're like get rich quick schemes and oh God, 2020, 2021, all this. Man, this was the age of scammers and stuff. Like, please beware. Do not let these scammers get the best of you. But thanks for watching, and I hope you got something out of this. Respect, honor, and legacy. Till next time.
Put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.